And I'm not going to make any friends with this assessment about OU basketball and its attendance because, well, I have a famous take about this, and I'm going to talk about it after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You got to help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. And today, my assessment of Oklahoma men's basketball and its attendance comes down to apathy. You don't particularly care whether or not the OU men's basketball program is elite. This is not Duke. This is not Kansas. This is not Arizona. This is not insert blue blood program here. Luck. When they are lucky enough to get a prodigious talent like Trae Young, OU men's basketball has the opportunity to be good. Does not guarantee them to be good. Luck. When they are lucky enough to have a head coach like Lon Kruger who can develop the Sunrise Christian defender that was Buddy Hield into the knockdown shooter that became the Buddy Hield that would take OU men's basketball to a Final Four in 2016, you count your blessings. This is not Billy Ball. And to be fair, the 80s men's basketball teams were an aberration. They are not par for the course, all right? Kelvin Sampson's squads were good. Jeff Capel, I think, got a bad rep. I don't believe that even when Hollis Price and Drew Lavender and Ebby Ra were roaming Lloyd Noble Center that you could guarantee that people were going to show up to watch men's basketball because that's not what we do in the state of Oklahoma. It did not matter that Blake Griffin was one of the best players in college basketball, player of the year, an All-American, perhaps the most talented player this state has ever produced, and I am putting him ahead of Trae Young in that argument, for OU fans, because that's not what Oklahoma does. Oklahoma is a football state. Wrestling, sure, also. But it does not sell out for men's basketball games like it does not sell out for a national championship women's gymnastics program in Lloyd Noble. It does not sell out for a national championship men's gymnastic or women's gymnastics program. It doesn't sell out for anything because that venue is way too large. It's too large for a state that has a scattered little less than 4 million living among it, right? The two largest concentrations of people in the state come from Tulsa and Oklahoma City. Famously, there is a rivalry between Tulsa and Oklahoma City. And the University of Tulsa has its own men's basketball program, which I might add has been doing more than its fair share of carrying its weight this year. While OU has made a Final Four in this decade, and the only program from this state to do so in the last decade, it's TU men's basketball that has an opportunity to win a league title. It's second this decade. Oklahoma State, no, not so much. But the Reynolds Center does not sell out. But all I hear is people yelling about why people don't come out to support the team, for which those same people claim to be fans of these teams. There are people who support the Golden Hurricane that will bark, yell, scream about why there aren't so many fans in the stands for what is a really good basketball team. Won 20 games already and is 2 games away from at least a share of the American Championship, which is a basketball league. While OU men's basketball has put together its best season since 2016, it is not by far best, right? We're talking about you're going to make the tournament, which is what you should do. You're the University of Oklahoma. The moniker, the headline for men's basketball at the University of Oklahoma ought to be, don't embarrass us. Don't do what Sherry Cole has done with the OU women's basketball team, which is not getting nearly enough press because, again, this is not a basketball state, and it sure as hell is not a women's basketball state. Nobody gets up in arms that Kim Mulkey comes here and stops a mud hole in both Oklahoma State and Oklahoma and walks it dry. Now, if Dave Aranda were able to do that, or Matt Rule were able to do that, or back when Art Briles was doing that, yes, everybody got in their feelings, and they should, because this is a football state. So when you talk about attendance, you're playing the hits in Oklahoma. When you talk about attendance, most places, you're playing the hits. But when you have a facility that seats more than 11,000, that also is home to a program that might finish third when we're ranking the programs at Oklahoma, football being 1, softball being 2, you know what's going on here. Your facility has 4,000 more seats than Cameron Indoor does. And Cameron Indoor is for basketball. Duke is a basketball college. If ever there was a basketball university, it's the one. And yet, you want to tell me that this facility that's built back in 1975 that was originally built for a concert venue should be sold out? The stat put out by the OU Daily, for which I am an alumnus, and I know many, the OU Daily has put out more first-round draft picks than the football team. Fight me. Is that the Lloyd Noble Center would need to sell more than 13,000 tickets not to finish as the worst attended season at OU since 93-94. And there are only 11,000 seats, as I said, so it's a staggering statistic. And when you talk about what is the reason for the decrease, you would say the Thunder, but it's not as if you were really pulling in all that many more fans before the Thunder got there, because to look at the numbers is to say a 10% decrease since the Thunder became a thing in Oklahoma City, and they sell out their home games. You go from about 10,000 folks on average selling tickets, not showing up selling tickets, to about 9,000 selling tickets. What we found, again, credit to the OU Daily, is that of the 8,000 plus tickets that are usually sold for an OU men's basketball game, only 4,000 people showed up, which is to say that either a bunch of people are buying season tickets and not using them, or a bunch of businesses are buying tickets and giving them away, and people don't feel good enough to go out to Norman to watch a ball game. It's not as if the Thunder overlaps with OU men's basketball all that much either. You can usually go to one and the other in back-to-back nights, and it'd be fine. So the idea that you would perhaps get up in arms about this and not really pay attention to the facts is striking to me. I find it fascinating that we're still having this discussion like we were having it when I was writing at the Daily with then one of my buddies, Chris Lusk. And we would say this, but you know what doesn't have a problem selling out? The friggin' football stadium. It's got 80,000 people showing up for games. You would say there's only 6. Well, tell it to Duke. Tell it to Kansas, where they play the same number of games and sometimes more than OU men's basketball, and they turn out. It's not enough for you to be good at OU. You have to be beyond belief awesome. And even then, there's no guarantee. You need to have Blake Griffin, Trae Young, and Buddy Hield on the same team, and you still wouldn't sell out Lloyd Noble. Because this is not a basketball state. And our attendance reflects that. Money talks is not just an AC/DC song. Money is how we measure what we care about. And guess what we don't care enough about? Men's basketball.